Surviving infidelity. My whole love life, marriage and fatherhood was a lie. I am 34 male. So, I met this girl when we both were 18 and joined college. We quickly became friends, and soon, our friendship turned into romantic relationship. She moved in with me and I basically looked after all her expenses since then. 4 years later, I got a job in an oil company in the Middle East. Seeing how our lives going to be for the next couple of years, we decided to get married and we did. Big mistake. I worked there for 10 long years and used to come back home once in a year. Meanwhile, she gave birth to 3 kids. As long as I was there, she never gave me any reason to believe that she was cheating on me. She called me regularly, always replied back to my messages and whatnot. It all started when I was back home after I was done there. That was a couple of months ago. One of my good buddies called me one day and asked to meet me. We met at the nearby park, and that's when he broke this one to me. No, he actually showed me a couple of pictures. It was hers, of her being naked with different men in different sexual positions. Doing things that she said that she was into. I could feel my heart breaking down into pieces. However, I held my calm and went back home. I didn't tell her anything. I took my car and went for a drive, and that's when I really contemplated this. I don't know why, but I decided to get paternity tests. I just felt it. I did, and the results came. No, I wasn't the father of any of the 3 kids. This was enough for me and I confronted her. She went hysterical and never answered any questions. She packed her things, took the kids, 8, 5 and 2, and moved in with her mother. I was back at my normal self, not really, the next day, and I called up this same buddy and asked him to come over. He did, and he started sharing the story. So a while ago, one guy who was his good friend and gym buddy, approached him and asking whether he wants to be in a gang B. To which he said no, as he was in a relationship with someone. That evening, after their gym session, they went to the nearby steakhouse, and there, this guy showed my friend the photo of the girl who is doing GB. Yes, it was my wife. Turned out that this guy has been sleeping with her since she was in college, while we were dating. He knew that she got married to some poor soul, and she kept seeing him along with other men as well, mostly his friends. The thing is that, she proudly boasted that she was married and used to show the ring to every guy she sleeps with, and how she used to host multiple men at her house, my house. So basically, she was cheating on me from day one, and me being away for those 10 years was a boon for her. Anyways, I have officially told her parents and mine. I hired an advocate, copied those pics to my pen drive, and have officially filed for a divorce. Now for the top comments. I'm sorry, she was a horrible wife and person in general. I'm confused as to why she didn't move with you when you went to work in the Middle East. I know it's restrictive for women, but foreigners seem to be able to disregard some of the laws, within reason. I've had teachers, friends/relatives of friends that have worked in various Middle Eastern countries, and the families always migrate as to not be apart from each other. I asked her to, but she refused for the following reasons. 1. She wanted to be close to her family. 2. She wanted it back here and do something. Work she meant, though she didn't work a single day ever. 3 pregnancies. All 3 happened at frequent intervals that she claimed that it was difficult to take newborn and shift from one country to another. I was a fool and agreed to whatever she said. Only now do I know why she didn't want to move in with me. I have no words for this other than I'm so sorry. It's all right. Man. This was painful to read. Sorry dude, luckily, you're probably still able to restart after a while. It's just sad that you'd also love the innocent children like your own. You'll be alright buddy. You are one strong dude. You sound so calm. That's one of the most messed up stories I've heard on here. We all think we know the people closest to us so well, but the things people are capable of in everyday life, not wartime etc. Obviously people will do terrible things, then remind me that some people really are just wired differently. Your wife is a stone cold, calculating, arguably even evil person. She would have happily had you spending your hard-earned cash, making sacrifices, to keep her comfortable and raise God knows whose offspring. And what kind of mother is off having GBs anyway? I feel like some people exist in some kind of parallel reality. I hope you have the very best lawyers, you deserve better. Now for the next story. Update, my wife has been exiting another man. So, I'm a combination of fuming and terrified. We've been together 13 years. We have 3 children, 11, son's birthday today, 8 and 3. My wife has been depressed for years since our first child being born. She came out of it just before Christmas after I just persuaded her to get help. She suddenly sparked up, got her type 1 diabetes under control, after speaking to the doctors. Tonight, she left her phone on the bed whilst she took my phone, on which her sister was video calling to wish my son a happy birthday. She had been really cagey about me being near her phone, which isn't normal. We used to be all over each other's phones, interchanging who is doing what. So, she was texting an old university friend. They began to flirt and it got actual. I feel like I can't trust her. I'm so disappointed, I don't know what to do. Edit, I spoke to her as soon as I found out. She was angry I had been on her phone. I suggested that was a poor attempt at deflection, and said we'd talk when the kids were in bed. I don't want them seeing the potential instability of their parents' relationship. They already assume we're getting divorced if we argue over driving styles. We spoke. She wanted to explain why. I said I couldn't trust her and didn't know what she could say that would help. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Well, be ready for the lies, the deflection, the anger at you for violating her privacy, etc., etc., etc. Be ready for the fact that you found some evidence. The truth is usually worse. You've got some important decisions to make. You say you can trust her. Respectfully, you can't. She just proved that to you. Lies of omission are lies. Emotional cheating is cheating. And by the time a spouse finds it, it's hardly ever still emotional. Just get ready to be lied to, manipulated and gaslighted. That's her next play. Plus, she accidentally left her phone. She is very done with him. Unlike men, women don't leave traces unless they want. They are better liars. You seem very calm about all of this. Externally, yes. Shut down, stay calm, don't panic and say anything which will turn a freaking crap storm into a cluster freaking crap storm. Internally, I'm broken, paranoid, and wondering how I'll manage work tomorrow. But not tell anyone because I'm a real man. After paying child support for another man's child for the last 10 years, my two biggest regrets are believing her when she said she would never cheat on me, and the second was staying with her because I was worried about the child being mine. If I had left sooner, I wouldn't be paying for that child now. And now for the update. So I slept on it, and we discussed it as I drove to work this morning. I ended up losing my cool, and then just breaking down and pulling over to bawl like a little girl. I just can't believe that she did it. I called in, and explained to my boss why I needed a day. I went to see my best friend to talk it out, which really helped me clarify what I was feeling. It turns out she had a self-ending plan in November and was planning on ending it. I saw she was in a very bad state in November prior to exiting, and asked her to get help. She did get help and improved for a few weeks, but says she needed validation on her self-worth from somewhere else. The person was a male friend from university who knew how she used to be. The story stacks up for me and makes sense according to my knowledge of my wife. I know she's lost herself since having kids. I want to believe we can fix it. I know that's naive. But I have to try, for all the sunk emotional and financial cost. I am aware it might not work out. She needs a lot of help and support, and we've been limping along together for a good decade of making do, but not making right. I have said she needs to go to counseling as a non-negotiable. I am prepared to walk away if I need to. Now for some top comments. OP, I looked at your past posts and this. You are the betrayed spouse, and your children are also betrayed by this too. She needs to know this. She cannot have any more contact with her affair partner. Her talk of needing validation is BS. Yes, she needs therapy, but if she wants to have reconciliation of the marriage, she needs to stop her excuses and own this. This was not the way to help her issues. Ignore this self-ending threat. To a point, it could be a way to put you off balance and overlook her betrayal. You have every right to feel the way you do. I also suggest you find a therapist for yourself to sort through this all. She also will need to be completely open with her phone, her email and social media. If she cries privacy, she negated that when she cheated. It is cheating, period. She wasn't letting you know of it, was she? You can work on reconciliation while she gets help, but if she wants the marriage to survive, she will have to help you heal and own her betrayal. Then, if you really cannot live with a spouse who did this to your marriage and you, by all means, file. If she stops therapy, contacts the affair partner again, you can file. If she spirals after, that is on her. Thank you, great advice, much appreciate you taking the time. When she says she needed validation from an old school friend who knew how she used to be, what did you mean by that? I could be wrong, but it sounds like she wanted to talk to someone who shared her adventurous sexual escapades. Look, infidelity comes in different forms and some people are okay with texting but nothing physical, and some are okay if it was a one-night physical thing but not ongoing or emotional, to each their own. If you feel you can get through this, then I'm not going to judge. I do think it's pretty awful that you were the one who encouraged her to get help, and once she did, she started up with another guy. Marriage isn't easy, but relationships themselves aren't easy. They require a willingness to put in the work. Nothing is all candy canes and rainbows. Selfishness can bring it all down. Good luck whichever path you choose. I wrote it many times, but for me, it's a good advice. If you bring up divorce/separation, the reality of the situation might kick in for her. If you're really concerned with saving your marriage, exhaust all possible avenues heavily, and don't take no for an answer until you've tried many times and gotten the same response. You'll be glad you tried. Also, explain to her what is commitment to a marriage. The last story is titled, Wife Caught Cheating with a Simp She Met Streaming on Twitch. Buckle up, this gets interesting. COVID-19 hits March of this year. My wife eventually in May/June complains of being bored, so I bought her this $2,300 gaming PC she never uses. I advised her to hop back into gaming during this down period. She starts streaming, and building friendships and a small community on Twitch and Discord. I'm confident that this is helping because it's such a low point in many people's lives to have any interactions. Late July/early August comes around, and due to our jobs, can't specify, we are on complete lockdown to the couple-mile radius. Only able to go to essential stops, gas, groceries, etc. She decides to take a staycation with two girlfriends to a local hotel to have a girls' night. The first night goes past with a few texts. No problem, she needed to enjoy herself. I text her the next afternoon and she then tells me they're actually staying another night. She comes back to the house on that Sunday morning and sits next to me while I just woke up from the night prior, and says we need to talk. She says that she needs to focus on her career, it's incredibly busy, and she needs space. I respect this because she has been getting several opportunities to progress and I want to see her succeed. I let her be more alone, but when I do see her, I make sure I am affectionate to enforce I support her after a long day of work. She eventually says we need to talk again. This time she says, I cringe when you're affectionate to me, and says I don't get it, and eventually says when we move back home, we live overseas, she wants to live separately and have me help pay for her apartment by herself. I explain that's not what I want and I could move where her job takes her most likely. It would be unfair to me because I would likely live somewhere without her or our dogs. She states I'm selfish for wanting to live with her and the dogs, and not leave her alone. I start to become depressed because I have a wife that will not touch me, tell me she loves me or acknowledges me. I am crying in the shower regularly, and eventually feel pathetic looking at adult vids because I have a wife that won't be there for me. I also notice her ex toys constantly being used, which I'm not mad about, but I hadn't been laid in 2 months, and we don't even shower together anymore. I start to notice she is always on her computer streaming, which is to be expected because she is trying to build an audience on Twitch. I work in the social media realm and understand the work it takes to build a community. She started to become agitated if I come in while she is streaming or if I talk. I eventually never go into the computer room out of fear of being yelled at. September, I start to talk to my co-worker about this and he says I should check her computer. I am the last person to want to touch a computer or phone. I am not the jealous type, but he finally opens my eyes to this idea. I go home one day and try to log on to the computer. The password is changed, yet we already had this password set 2.5 years ago at this point. We go to dinner that night and on the way, I'm clenching my fist on the steering wheel and gritting my teeth with this knowledge. I am battling in my head the idea that she is my wife and I should trust her, and also, that if she is my wife, I should be able to talk about anything. So, I drop the bomb. She scoffs at my inquiry and says of course not, and she changed the password to match her work computer. I feel a little more at ease because of how direct this was. Eventually, a week later, she has a baby shower with a mutual friend which I am invited. I go, but I had an infection so I was incredibly weak, on antibiotics, and just not feeling well. She is lovey-dovey and rubbing my shoulders and giving me kisses. She finally leaves her phone unguarded, which I noted to never to be visible when I'm around. I try to log in, and the password is incorrect. I play into my illness, and go home with this new information upset because now I am onto something. I remember one of the guys she plays with all the time and tried to add him on Instagram. She gets outraged by this, questioning me. I also had a work trip coming up for a week at the end of October. She insists on knowing every detail, which seemed weird how much she's wanting to know, that I would be gone when I am her husband. I go on the work trip and try to avoid texting to give her this space. I return and she picks me up and I get no affection, "I miss you, I love you," or anything, just agitation. I took her out to dinner that night, even though I was tired, and took her to hit balls at the driving range, one of her favorite activities. She tries to film herself hitting the ball, but it wasn't filming, and I tried to assist her but insist I don't touch her phone. I go to bed that night after my week-long work trip, and still no intimacy. Mind you, I'm not asking for it all the time, but would like it at least 1 to 3 times a month. I'm frustrated in every sense of the word. A week later and it's the end of October, and I get an early day off of work. I get home and hear the sound of her speakers being plugged and unplugged from the computer, which made me curious. I click on the mouse and the computer is unlocked. I knew this is my time to see what is going on. I go to the email and see nothing, but she bought Phasmophobia for Jay and Ed. She also had a confirmation email for downloading WhatsApp to her Apple Watch. She had never had a reason to use this app before. I eventually go to Discord, which I am not the best at navigating. I noted in one chat this guy Jay sends a kiss emoji, and she responds with a hard eyes emoji. I click on their messages and I see all of it. I start to record with my phone instantly as proof to present. I capture all the data I can. And even saw on my birthday she was writing to him about missing him, etc. I send a text to her saying, "I know about Jay." She calls me instantly and is panicked, and says she is coming home. We sit on the couch and talk, and she just tells me it's because she wanted to have entertainment. I notice she doesn't even cry, and she doesn't even say sorry. I had to tell her that she never said sorry, which she then makes excuses for. She claims she wants to be my wife, but can't right now. She sees us together in the future maybe, but not now. I tell her I need time to think about this. I want counseling, but she doesn't and says she needs to work on herself. I eventually get her to say yes. I told her that she needs to change the passwords and tell him it's over. I understand if they need to talk. She agrees and we continue. That night, she is only talking about how she won't financially be able to survive without me. I reassure her that she can make it like any other person. I then the next day check the computer. She changes the password back but has logged out of every single account and Discord where I found the messages. Technically she did do everything I ask, so I'm not mad. I asked her what he said about it being over, and she tells me that Jay hadn't said a word back, and he isn't like that to write back. I then a week later notice she left her phone upstairs. I try to log in and it's not changed. I address this and she becomes irate at me for checking. I ask her to let me see the phone and she does a couple of fast strokes, so I know she deleted something quickly. I check Instagram messages and nothing. I instantly go to the phone call log, and see she has still continued to talk to him on a regular basis even after the day I found out. At this point, I'm not even mad because I'm so torn down. A mutual friend of ours goes on the girl's day, and eventually tells me she was still talking to him the entire day as well several days later. I call off going to counseling at this point, because I realize she isn't serious about making this work. Weeks start to go by, and we coexist. She has bought an air mattress and sleeps in the computer room. We only go for dinner and that's our only line of communication. She took money out of a savings account for our future which we never touch. I ask why she took out money when I financially can help, and have paid for every bill since we have been together. She yells at me saying it isn't my business, but I also have known she lies about money, and I had bailed her out of drowning credit card debt previously. I felt it was betraying my trust again to not make a couple's decision and work together with money. She eventually gets mad and kicks me out of the house, because she realized I stopped automatic payments to this joint account. Luckily, I have another place lined up and I'm here now since Thanksgiving. I spend weeks trying to get out of a slump. I scheduled therapy for myself to help, let my work know why I'm not in the best mood, or performing at my best. She then starts to ask me to come over for dinner randomly. I feel alone and do miss my dogs, so I go over because I still miss my old life to be honest, even though it never feels the same. She gets mad at me if I don't always say yes, and for Christmas, she bought me a PS5, which I obviously was very excited about. Now she can only talk about my need to stop focusing on the past and work on the future with us. I am still pending another therapy appointment, but this time has been invaluable for myself to reflect. My only regret right now is I have let this linger and didn't call it quits immediately when I found out. I have always been a fixer, and someone that doesn't quit and can be relied upon, which I feel is being taken advantage of. She now wants this to work, but I'm afraid my feelings and trust are already too far gone. I am having a hard time telling her I want this to end because I still love this woman, but I can't be with her, and this is the hardest thing to understand for her, and myself, I'm sure. I think I am looking for approval or justification to end it when I already have it. I just don't want to regret anything either, since we have been married for almost 8 years. I'm 30, I love being in a relationship, and because of this, I will have to give away my dogs. Also, she is a very angry person, and I think will take anything she can from me even with these circumstances. The best part about this is that, this guy is a downgrade so bad, that she hasn't shown me or her friends what this guy looks like. I have a good support system, but I may need some words of advice to make pulling this band-aid off quicker. Now for the top advice. Stand up and walk away, or lie down and get walked on. She wants the wallet, not the blood bag that carries it. When will your self-preservation instincts going to kick in? Why did you let her kick you out? She is an angry puppet master. Based on the living situation, me leaving was actually for the better, and the only way based on my job. If I disclosed further details, it would give away too much personal info. She doesn't know where I am living, which makes me feel safe and actually a tad free. Thanks for responding. You are a nice guy. She's using you as much as she can before you have enough. It's time to have enough. You seriously really need to have no further contact with this horrible person other than through your lawyer. Leave her to the life she wants, and stop helping her. Cut all ties and divorce her. She will never change unless it's to get worse. If you are afraid she will become violent when you tell her, you say she's an angry person, then have someone there with you. If you don't have anyone, ask her to meet you at your attorney's office, or ask the police for a civil standby as a last resort. You never know what lies a liar will cook up. Stay strong, this too shall pass. What are you doing, dude? You're too much a good catch to be used for money by this person. She's mean and a cheater. Why are you still there? Respect yourself more and get a divorce. The fact that the guy is a loser is not the best part. It's the worst. She prioritizes a loser over you, and you're letting her. You can do better than her, come on. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.